Hey, Hound Dogs, I'm David Hankins,
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
and you're on the air with Power Squared. This month, we're doing a salute to Transformers' 40th anniversary, and we're starting off with Livio Ramondelli. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
For those who may not know who you are, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I worked for IDW on Transformers for a long time. I was part of the crew with John Barber, Andrew Griffith, James Roberts, Alex Milne, Casey Kohler. We were on the books for about 12 years, kind of unbroken run on Transformers. And yeah, that's probably how you know me. Yeah.
When did you discover that you wanted to be an artist?
I mean, I knew since I was a kid that I hoped I would get to do it professionally. I was drawn all the time, like a lot of kids do, but I just really enjoyed it, and I never got tired of doing it. And yeah, I just hoped one day I would be able to do it, professionally for a living.
Are there artists that inspire you or
Yeah,
inspire
there's
you?
yeah, there's a million like over the years. Like I was a kid in the '90s, so it was like Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee, those guys like X-Men, Spider-Man, Ninja Turtles, the original like Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird books.
Yeah.
When I got older, when I was in high school, and I started getting interested in not just drawing but coloring, it was Alex Ross who like his work just really was amazed by. And then yeah, there's always just constantly people I look at and get inspired by.
Okay. What's a typical day like for you?
Yeah, so it varies because I'm a full time freelancer, so I like the flexibility. So there's days where I can do my errands during the day and then invert my schedule so I work at night. I tend to work most days though. I'll get up at like 9:30 or something, and then I'll tend to work the full day. Usually, what I do is paid work. So if it's Transformers or something, I was doing that during the day, and then at night I would do my creator owned stuff. The I would kind of have two shifts in my day, sort of. But that's generally what it is.
Okay. Do you have a process, artistic process?
Yeah, I mean, most everything in terms of commissions, it's pencil and marker and ink. It's very traditional. In terms of the published work, a lot of it is pencil line art, and then I scan it into Photoshop, and then I color it digitally beyond that. So I don't really do like an inking phase on that, but I still like the mix of like traditional pencil with like digital coloring.
How would you describe your style?
I mean, I'm very influenced by like Ridley Scott and like Blade Runner, that kind of very atmospheric world. That's
Yeah.
something I'm very interested in is like lighting and textures, and I like making things hopefully feel like believable and like a used kind of future kind of aspect. So yeah, I don't know if I can sum it up in like one word, but that's the stuff I'm interested in. Yeah.
Okay. We've noticed that you're set up at a lot of conventions. Are there any conventions that you enjoy more than others?
Yeah, they're really fun. I think New York Comic Con probably has the best artist alley of all of them. It has a really large artist alley, and they take it seriously. Some conventions will kind of squeeze the comic guests into a corner and make room for like the movie star stuff, which is
Yeah.
not the best. But I like New York Comic Con. I like Emerald City a lot. Seattle's a fun city, so working that show is fun. I'm gonna go to Phoenix Comic Con in a couple weeks. That one's always fun.
Okay.
Oh, and
Uh,
I should say Tokyo Comic Con is really great too. Like
Really?
that's the fans are really great there, and then Japan is amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
uh, have you seen more success at like larger conventions like say WonderCon or smaller conventions like TFCon?
It varies, like because you guys have been to TFCon, like it's very concentrated, so it's a
Yeah.
smaller show, but everyone there is a Transformers fan.
Yeah.
So for those of us that work on the books, those conventions are really great. And then if you work a larger show like WonderCon or San Diego Comic Con, you're getting people that don't necessarily know your work, but there's just so many people that attend those things
Right.
that they'll come by and discover and buy something.
So I assume you do a lot of commissions at conventions.
Yeah, it's pretty hard work. I mean, it's you kind of despite you wanting people to set it up ahead of time, they almost always there's people who are like, I'm leaving in 2 hours. Can you draw something right now? That's happened so many times, and it's like you're really under the gun, which is or you have to draw back in the hotel room, and
Like make show for me.
yeah.
uh, do you enjoy going to conventions more as an exhibitor or as an attendee?
Uh, I don't know. I will say it's way less stressful to go as an attendee. You know, like I went to San Diego Comic-Con last year just for fun. Well, I was doing some work, but I didn't have a table.
Yeah.
That was the first time I've ever done that show, and I just walked around the floor. And it was so weird to just be like, I can just walk in this direction and I don't have to turn around and go back to a table. So, so that was really fun. So I'm probably gonna do that again this year. But yeah, and then it is fun to work the conventions. It's just kind of tiring, you know. It's like not only are you working all the time, but people are constantly coming up to talk to you, so it requires a lot of energy.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't really get a time to like have a nice lunch or anything.
Right. From your experience, is there a difference between working on an original IP and an adaptation of an existing one, like Transformers? And do you have a preference?
Yeah, I like both. When you're dealing with existing characters, there's companies that own those characters, so there's things that have to be approved, you know. So whether it's designs or things you want to do in the story, you don't have complete freedom. You can't just kill off Optimus Prime, you know. Right. They did one time, but I mean, like, but yeah. So with original properties, you have complete freedom, you know, which that's really fun. Is that you really are the kind of architect of that world, you know. So I do like doing both of them.
From your experience, what would you say the challenges are between drawing cover art and interiors, and do you have a preference?
Yeah, I like covers better. Because generally you can just make something cool for the cover.
Yeah.
Sequential pages are real challenging, especially if it's something like Transformers, because it's like they're so complicated, like the characters, that you have scenes that take place of them walking down a hallway or them meeting around a table. And that's a lot of work, and it's kind of a thankless, you know, it's not always as exciting as, you know, getting to do like a really cool like action moment or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like covers. I like splash pages more.
Speaking of Transformers, we have a few questions about that.
Sure.
What a shock.
As we've established, you've done a lot of stuff for IDW Transformers. How did you become involved in Transformers?
So I was working for Jim Lee at Wildstorm as like an in-house concept artist, and I started doing conventions like Artist Alley through that. And I just had Transformers prints out really just for fun. And I was very lucky that Chris Ryle, who was then the editor-in-chief of IDW, he walked by and he saw it and he was like, "Oh, you should work on Transformers." And he gave me his card. And I was very lucky because the first two things I did like the next week were this Best of Optimus Prime, Best of Megatron trade paperback covers. So I thought those might be the only two things I ever did, but I was thrilled. It was like, man, I get, you know, the two biggest characters in that universe, you know, and I get to do whatever I want for the covers. It was amazing. You know, that was my first real published work. I didn't know it would lead to like 12 years of yeah, so it's very, very lucky. I mean, I say that to a lot of artists who, if they want to set up at Comic-Cons, like, do it, because you never know who's going to just walk by. I've had a couple of moments like that, like someone pretty big walked by and just took a card or something. So, yeah.
Is there anything in particular from your work at IDW that you were particularly proud of, and is there anything you wish you could have drawn differently?
Oh, there's always stuff. Nobody should look at everything they've done and think that it was perfect the entire time. No, I think my favorite thing is the Autocracy trilogy, which was this kind of like Optimus Prime, Megatron, like the origin of their conflict. So I got to work with Flint Dille, who was one of the head writers on the original animated series. We became friends, and then Chris Metzen. They're both great guys, and I was kind of young when I did that project, but they treated me like an equal. And then also it was just basically telling the origin of Optimus Prime, which that meant a lot to me emotionally, of what that character meant to me growing up and everything. So.
Now, by sheer coincidence, you posted on social media a few days ago you did a Transformers variant cover for Skybound.
Yeah.
Who currently holds the license. For those who are unaware. Yes. Yeah. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I got hit up by a retailer, because these days in comics, retailer variant covers are very popular.
Yeah.
So a lot of artists will be hired to do a cover that the retailer can have a certain number of those. So that's a really big business right now. So yeah, a retailer called Top Shelf Comics hit me up and they asked if I wanted to do Transformers, and I was like, yeah, I mean, love the characters, and then it's cool to work with the next iteration, like with Skybound. So, yeah.
Was there a difference in the experience between working with IDW or Skybound?
Not so much. I mean, I've only done one cover so far. I'm doing more coming up. I don't know. I mean, it was hard. Like IDW, I knew those guys so well. We worked together for 12 years. You know, Skybound's a whole new experience. Like I just started to know people that work there, so that part's different. But yeah, it was still like, yeah, like it was just the same old fun, really.
What was your first exposure to Transformers?
I'm like child of the '80s, so it was the original G1 cartoon. So I loved that cartoon, and then the animated movie had a huge impact on me. I mean, I think that's a pretty incredible piece of work, especially the first like half hour of that movie. So yeah, so that was really my exposure.
Do you have a Transformers collection?
I do. Yeah, I have a lot of G1 toys, and then I bought some of the Masterpiece stuff later. I collected those. I think it was called Palisades. I can't remember. There was a company that did these like really nice die-cast statues.
Yeah.
And they did like a Devastator. So like if Shockwave was this big, Devastator was that. So they were kind of in scale. So that was cool. Yeah, but I do have them.
Out of curiosity, are you familiar with any other iterations of the franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really into Beast Wars just because of the age that I was. I was like, I was a G1 guy, so it didn't really relate to the designs of it and the characters as much.
Fair.
But and then the Michael Bay movies, I was into those. But yeah, the other stuff like Transformers Animated, Transformers Prime, I've seen bits and pieces, but really I'm kind of a G1 guy.
Fair enough. Do you have a favorite character?
Yeah, it's probably Optimus. I mean, he's just, like, it's still like an honor to get to draw that guy because he obviously meant a lot to me. But then my next favorites are all Decepticons. Like I like Soundwave and Shockwave and Devastator.
And do you have a favorite character to draw, either professionally or for fun?
Yeah, it's kind of the same answers like Optimus, Soundwave, Devastator, Megatron. I tend to like the more armored kind of warrior types more than the kind of lighter guys. But yeah, those are my favorites.
When I've seen you at conventions, I've also noticed you have a lot of Star Wars art.
Yeah.
I understand you also did a few. You actually did a few Star Wars comic covers for Dark Horse and IDW.
Yeah. Yep.
How did that come about?
Yeah, I just got randomly hit up by Dark Horse to do a couple, and then same with the ones for IDW. Just get emails of like, do you want to do this? I was like, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan too. Like that one I collect a lot of too. I'm a big like Hot Toys fan and Sideshow, so I have a lot of figures from that.
Wow.
But yeah, definitely a big fan.
What was your first exposure to Star Wars, and do you have a favorite film or expanded universe work?
Yeah, the original trilogy for sure. Empire Strikes Back is my favorite movie of all time. So, yeah, I love that movie. And then in terms of expanded universe, I like the Heir to the Empire, the first Thrawn story, because that at the time when there was like the 16 years between the original trilogy and Phantom Menace, you didn't really get a lot of content. So that was pretty big when those books arrived. So yeah, and I think Thrawn as a character was probably my favorite expanded universe. It's cool that he's finally official now.
We also liked the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars card.
That was awesome. Yeah,
yes.
That was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it 3 minutes a day or something?
Yeah.
Well, I still love how scary like General Grievous is in that. Like he's like terrifying in that cartoon. It's great.
Yeah, I mean in the movie he's like this pushover.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah. I prefer the Genndy characterization.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite Star Wars character?
Probably Vader. I think the whole arc is great.
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett, I was a huge fan of that. Like more the mysterious Boba Fett. I wasn't wild about the book of Boba Fett. he was like a little too nice for me. But yeah, and then I mean the Emperor I love, so.
And do you have a favorite Star Wars character to draw?
Yeah, probably the same kind of stuff like Vader. I really like. I've done some Prince of Vader, so I think he's really cool to put into kind of an environment. Clone troopers, stormtroopers. I like the armies. I like the war aspect of Star Wars.
Yeah.
So.
Understand you also have an original comic book called the Kill Luck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's IDW, right?
Yeah. That's an original series by me. Yeah.
Those who don't know what it is, what would you say it's about?
So yeah, I say it's like a R-rated Pixar movie. it's 4 robots that are kind of on the run that are forced to protect each other because they're linked with this invisible signal that if one of them dies, they all die. So you have these 4 characters from very different walks of life who have to take care of each other. And so it's an original series I created. There's 2 of them now, but yeah, I had a blast making it.
What was the inspiration for the Kill Luck?
I really wanted to do an original sci-fi story. I liked the idea a lot of characters that would never normally be in the same room having to protect each other. So pairing like one of the characters is like a very moral soldier, and he has to protect a kind of insidious engineer. And I like that idea. I like that you're putting characters that are like would never normally get along, and they are forced to really protect each other. That felt like a very natural kind of story.
Do you find it challenging to do everything yourself for the Kill Luck?
I mean, I really liked it. I didn't know if I was up to doing it because I wrote it too. So, but I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a lot of work, especially the first series, because I did it like around Transformers because you don't get paid on a creator-owned book until it actually comes out.
Yeah.
So you're sort of finding those hours around your other work. So that was challenging. Like, it took a few years to get it done, but I really loved making it.
Are there any future plans for the Kill Luck universe?
Yeah, I am currently working on a 3rd one now.
Do you have any idea when it'll be published?
We'll see on that. It's still kind of early stages. I mean, I've been working on it for a while, but yeah, I don't have a date yet.
So too early to call?
Yeah, too early for now.
Some general questions. If you were to go back and relive your art career, is there anything you would have done differently?
God, I don't know, because I feel like you're sort of like shaped by everything, Like I don't think there's one thing, But yeah.
You've done a lot of commission work over the years, and we actually have.
Oh yeah, cool. Was that TF40 last year?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. They kind of blur together for me, but yeah, I remember you're on that.
Yeah, it was our first exposure to Transformers was the 2001 series. So that year there was this huge presence for 2001, so we were in a 2001 mood, and we liked your art, so that's why we commissioned that.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate it. Did you watch any G1 stuff after that, or were you strictly more that?
Well, we've watched just about every U.S. series.
Yeah.
In some form or another. So we've seen all of G1. We really liked the 86 movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
They've gotten most of the voice people to sign it.
Yeah, we've actually gotten a lot of signatures on the movie, including recently Peter Cullen and Frank Welker.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, those guys are great. I've gotten to meet them. They're awesome.
Yeah. Have you ever done I'm wondering, without getting into too much detail, have you ever done a commission that you regretted?
I'm sure. Sometimes people ask for things that are so not what your like strengths are. So usually I'll tell people like, listen, I don't think, there's some that I just didn't really enjoy working on, or people ask for something that was so completely not what I'm interested in doing, like I feel bad disappointing people and saying like I don't want to do that, but sometimes it's like I don't know. It's just like if I was going to commission an artist, I would commission things that look like what they're known for, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And occasionally people just want like Jean Grey or Superman or something that's not really like, you know, like you wouldn't. It's like you wouldn't go to those artists and ask for a Transformer generally, you know.
Right.
You know,
Maybe
there's kind of a
people
reason
would.
artists kind of like very few artists are good at drawing everything. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of have a certain lane. So and then also just the stress of doing it at a show is hard. Like what you had, like a headshot, that's totally cool. But sometimes people want something really elaborate at a convention, and it will just turn out better if you hit us up ahead of time.
Yeah.
When we ship it out to you, like some people want like an 11 by 17 multi-character. Like it's just it's a lot to do at a show.
Yeah.
And I leave in 2 hours. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any thing you've worked on that you wish more people were aware of?
I don't know. I mean, the Kill Luck, that universe, I want to keep doing it, you know? So, you know, just can get more readers on that. That's probably the main thing. That's kind of the thing I'm most interested in currently.
Right. Is there any advice you give to a prospective artist?
Yeah, I would say biggest thing is like take it seriously, you know? Like any kind of career, even if it's a fun career, you have to, you know, do deadlines, you have to get back to people, you have to respect people's time, and you have to work hard, you know? That's something I would definitely say. Like there's a lot of artists I know that are really unreliable when it comes to like returning an email or something. And that's frustrating because it's, you know, even though it's fun to draw for a living, it still is a job, you know? You have to kind of really be responsible. So, and then the other thing I would say is be aware of like treat people nicely, be professional, because people will talk. And if someone has had a bad experience hiring you because you were difficult, they won't hire you, or they will recommend not to hire you. There's a lot of those conversations that you're not aware of. So be nice to people, really. Be easygoing.
Yeah, be nice and be punctual and
Yeah, totally.
all right.
This is something we've put into just about every interview. Is there something you want to tell us about yourself that most people don't know?
Yeah, secret children.
I can tell you a funny story that was a cool experience. But are you guys Batman fans at all?
Yes.
I was an extra in The Dark Knight Rises when Bane attacks the football stadium.
Nice. Yeah.
I was there. I was in the audience when that happened, and that was a really really fun experience because they did not tell us what was going to happen at all. So explosions really went off. Like the ground sinking was CGI, of course, but they did have explosions. And then when Tom Hardy came out as Bane, he said exactly to us what he says in the movie. So we had no idea what he was talking about. All the looks of people in the movie are real because he just comes out and starts saying like, "Take control of your city." We have no idea. We have no idea in the movie where that scene takes place. So, and then it was really fun though. That was a really fun day.
Where did they shoot that?
They shot it in the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium.
Oh, and how'd you end up being an extra?
My brother and I are from that area, so we were out there and we saw that they were casting extras for a big Batman stunt, and we were like, we have to do this because it's like we knew it was Christopher Nolan's Batman movie, and then when they said it was a big action scene, we're like, this is whatever it is, this is gonna be amazing, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it was really funny though too because it was really hot that day, and we were there for like 12 hours, and in the movie it's supposed to be winter time. So everyone was wearing like a heavy coat, but we're all like dying. So that was really fun. And then I remember Tom Hardy was funny too, because in between takes he'd be making jokes and stuff, but in the full Bane outfit. Like, but yeah.
Sorry.
Do you have any hobbies outside of art?
I collect toys like Sideshow, Hot Toys, Mezco. That's the big thing. I mean, I'm a huge science fiction fan, so I read and watch a lot of that. Yeah, all my interests are pretty connected to kind of creative stuff. You know, that's generally what I like.
Right. Have you collected any of the newer G1 style Transformers toys?
Not recently. I've gotten a couple Masterpiece toys, and then I'll buy occasionally some third-party stuff, like a TF which I like. But that's about it. I kind of just buy what I like. I don't really, I don't really have like a set where I collect everything.
I was just curious.
So we ask all our guests this. We do a comic book called Power Squared.
Uh-huh.
Have you heard it, seen it?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Because it's part of the show title.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay. So I'll put that down as a no.
I know the name, but don't take it personal. Usually, if I'm at a Comic-Con, I'm literally at my table, and that's about it.
Right.
Like,
Oh, that's fine.
I don't.
No.
Where do you sell it at? Where do you carry it?
Well, it's sort of on demand, I guess. We're through Indie Planet, which is Kablam's platform, and we're on artithmeric.com, which is a kind of a UK platform.
Okay.
And we're on Global Comics and Kindle, and we're actually a couple of volumes are through Library Pass.
Okay, yeah, I know Library Pass. That's cool.
Yeah. So
How much have you published?
Well, we've put out 20 issues, and we're going to put out another one in June.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're working on 27 at the moment. So
Yeah.
Are you guys the sole creative team, or do you work with other people?
We have artists. Basically, the three of us sort of created the concept, the comic, and then Paul and I have done most of the writing. Though Trevor's done some.
Cool.
Trevor's been the letterer since the inception.
Yeah.
And we've gone through 3 artists and 5 or 6 colorists, and so how that goes.
That's cool.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun for us. I think we came up with the concept like 13 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we took time to find an artist, and went through a lot of the what was it, Comic-Con. They have a comic creator connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went through that a few years, and never. It's sort of like speed dating, and we never made a date really out of it. So
Yeah. It's hard to find collaborators that you get along with and that are reliable. Like, I know a lot of people who've had issues just finding a colorist, that will stick with a project and get it done on time, make it look the way you want it to look.
Yeah, and they have to do it for a pretty small price for us.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. That's impressive though what you guys have done, because that's a lot of work to do that much work in comics.
Yeah, it'd just be nice if more people heard of
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that goes back to the creator-owned question versus licensed stuff. Is like the downside of any creator-owned thing is there's just less awareness of it because it's not a property that's celebrating 40 years. It's just it's a new thing. So
Yeah. So, but again, we're gonna, I guess, do as long as we can. I guess.
Yeah.
So, if people want to follow you on social media, where would they do that?
Yeah, on the main thing is Instagram, so just Livio Ramondelli, my full name. I'm on X as well, same thing. But Instagram, I'm the most active. I think that for artists, Instagram is really great because it's just a very visual, social media.
Because we'll, when we put this up on YouTube, we'll have a link to wherever you want to have it linked to.
Okay, cool.
All
right. So, if you're watching this on YouTube later and you liked this, leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more, and leave a comment down below if you have any, if you are interested in the kill lock.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks very much for being on the show. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks, guys. It was nice to talk to you.
Yeah, great. So until next time, I'm David Hankins.
I'm Paul Hankins. I'm Trevor Hankins.
And you've been on the air with Power Squared.